Hey, this is Dina. Welcome to the Den. Well, in 2015, I covered one of my favorite movies of all time, Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was a rare gem in that it had amazing-looking dinosaurs while also managing to be a fantastic movie overall. If you're a dino geek like me and have watched a lot of movies featuring dinosaurs, you know how rare that is. Jurassic Park was damn near perfect in my opinion. Scenes with dinosaurs were really intense. We all know it was a pioneer in CG animation, and the special effects hold up really well even today. But on top of that, in general, dinosaurs were approached with a sense of awe, and certain scenes are nearly overwhelming for me. Again, even now. It had an interesting message about the ethics of cloning and bringing back extinct animals. Yeah, that's come up a lot since then, but at the time it was a fairly new idea. The characters are interesting and a lot of fun, partly thanks to that great group of actors and also Steven Spielberg's direction. I don't know how to explain it, but his movies have a certain charm that I have a hard time putting my finger on. I usually just describe it as Spielbergian. I also talked about the sequels, which were not as good. I don't hate them, I'll generally watch them if they're on TV, but they're basically mindless entertainment. And that's really all I expect from a Jurassic Park sequel at this point. Let's face it, no sequel is ever going to live up to the original, so I have just kind of accepted that. And of course, at the time I made that video, there were only trailers out for Jurassic World. My first impression was that it looked like they were really embracing absurdity and over-the-topness, and yeah, if you're gonna do another sequel at this point, that's about all you can do. So let's find out if Jurassic World holds up to that low bar I set for it. We open on a couple of dinosaur eggs hatching. Pretty cleanly, too. Oh, what a cutie. I'm sure nothing bad will come from this. God damn it, movie. Anyway, this is the Mitchell family. The two kids. The younger one, Gray, is the dinosaur fanatic, and the older one, Zach, is girl crazy, are being dropped off at the airport by their parents.
So much for our last family breakfast.
Who are getting a divorce, because of course they are. From the plane, they get on a boat, which takes them to Isla Nublar, the site of Jurassic Park in the first movie, where they have actually, somehow, managed to open a functioning park and keep it under control under the name Jurassic World. Keep in mind that the events of the two Jurassic Park sequels took place on a different island, Isla Sorna.
You mean there are two islands with dinosaurs in them?
Still love that line. Which is probably for the best, because we don't know how out of control the dinosaur population got on Isla Nublar. So while I still wonder how the hell they managed this after the events of Jurassic Park, it'd be even less believable if they went with Isla Sorna. So anyway, Zach and Gray are supposed to meet their Aunt Claire, but end up with her personal assistant Zara instead. Anyway, Gray is super excited and runs in. Jurassic tennis? What?
Ron's got you VIP access.
You can tell by the swelling music that the park is about to be revealed. And wow, that is impressive. How the hell, though? It's not that I think them getting control of the island is impossible, I just think it's a bit odd that the movie never goes into it. Also, much as I love the soundtrack to Jurassic Park, it's starting to feel a little manipulative how the sequels use this tune nearly every time there's a big reveal where you're supposed to be impressed. It only ever worked one time. Speaking of Claire.
Al, Jim, Erica, and I am Claire.
I love how she's got so much going on she has to remind herself of her own name. Anyway, she's meeting with some sponsors.
No one's impressed by a dinosaur anymore.
Like in Jurassic Park 3, there's talk of how dinosaurs have become somewhat mundane to audiences.
But consumers want them bigger, louder, more teeth.
So they've resorted to genetically engineering new species of dinosaurs.
The Indominus Rex, our first genetically modified hybrid.
How did you get two different kinds of dinosaurs to,
Oh, Indominus wasn't bred. She was designed.
Oh my god, it's B.D. Wong. If you forgot, he was the scientist in Jurassic Park who explained how all of the dinosaurs on the island were female to prevent breeding. And we saw how well that worked.
Life, finds a way.
It makes sense that they'd bring him back. Even though his character in the first movie didn't have a lot of screen time, the actor, after having been on Law & Order SVU off and on for more than 10 seasons, is pretty well known now.
She will be 50 feet long when fully grown. bigger than the T-Rex.
He certainly isn't the biggest box office draw in this movie, but it's always good to have a familiar face when you can.
When will she be ready?
She already is.
Back to the kids. It looks like the park is doing well. If you can keep from being distracted by the Apatosaurus hologram, there's a statue of Hammond on the other side of the room. Speaking of which, also have a cameo for Mr. DNA. Finally, Claire shows up.
Oh! So, I see you already got your wristbands and...
But she can't stick around.
You're not coming with us?
I really wish that I could, but tomorrow I can take you into the control room. It's gonna be cool, right?
Even the 3D projection of Parasaurolophus can't believe this shit.
Okay, so, have fun and take very good care of them, okay?
So Claire goes to check up on things with the technicians, and this conversation happens regarding Larry's Jurassic Park shirt.
Didn't occur to you maybe that's in poor taste?
The shirt? Yeah, no, it did. I understand people died. It was terrible, but...
I mean, it's okay to work at the place that resulted from all that stuff, but wearing a t-shirt from it is crossing the line. Sure.
They didn't need these genetic hybrids. They just needed dinosaurs, real dinosaurs. That's
okay,
kind of enough.
Please don't wear it again.
Did you close the deal?
Looks like it. Verizon Wireless presents the Indominus Rex.
Why not just go the distance, Claire, and just let these corporations name the dinosaurs?
Pepsi-Saurs. Tostito, don't.
Yeah, he's the closest thing this movie has to an XP of Dr. Malcolm.
You patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it.
I mean, you do understand these are actual animals, right?
Also, I love all the dinosaur toys on his desk.
Clean up your workspace. It's chaotic.
As in chaos theory? Afterwards, she goes to meet the owner of the park, Mr. Masrani.
How's my park doing?
Great. We're up 2.5% over last year.
Yeah, he's an old friend of Hammond's, and there's definitely some similarity in how they approach the park.
Are the guests having fun? Are the animals enjoying life?
We don't have a way to measure the animal's emotional experience.
Sure you do. You can see in their eyes.
Also, he almost has his piloting license. The guy sitting next to him is his instructor.
The key to a happy life is to accept you are never actually in control.
Honestly, I kind of like this guy.
John Hammond entrusted me with his dying wish, and not once did he mention profit. Spare no expense, he used to say.
Well, there's a running gag I didn't think would return.
Now, please, we're flying. Breathe.
Masrani's awkward piloting aside, this is very reminiscent of a scene in Jurassic Park. I like how the instructor is throwing up in the bushes. What have they got in there, King Kong? Anyway, Masrani is here to check out the Indominus Rex. Turns out they've been having a rough time with it.
It tried to break the glass.
I like her spirit.
She makes herself known, a little.
Think it'll scare the kids?
The kids. This will give the parents nightmares.
You have no idea.
So I thought there were two of them.
Also, fun fact, remember those 2 dinosaur eggs hatching during the opening sequence? Those were both Indominus Rexes and...
Where's the sibling?
She ate it.
well, shit.
The paddock is quite safe then.
We have the best structural engineers in the world.
Yeah, so did Hammond.
Yeah. Meanwhile, some raptors are being trained with a clicker by this guy, Owen Grady, a former Navy man.
Blue! Watch it. Charlie, hey! Don't give me that shit.
Yeah, it's funny and all, but the idea is that he's establishing himself as the alpha. Maybe that's the only way the raptors will respect him. And he seems to be doing a good job. These raptors have names: Blue, Charlie, Delta, and Echo, and each has its own design and personality. The names are easy to remember when you realize that they start with B, C, D, and E. So if they were going with the alphabet, why not start with A? Because again, Owen is the alpha. That's actually pretty clever. Okay, so this is InGen Security Chief Vic Hoskins. Apparently he was the one who hired Owen and his assistant, Barry.
What do you need, buddy?
You can tell Owen doesn't like him very much. Probably because he wants to use dinosaurs as military weapons.
Nature gave us the most effective killing machines 75 million years ago, and now we know they can take orders.
He thinks he knows how to achieve this.
What if they decide they want to be in control?
Well, then we remind them who is. We terminate the rogues. Promote only loyal bloodlines.
I love how they just kind of laugh at him. He's basically cherry-picking aspects of the Raptors that he thinks will help his cause and ignoring everything else about them.
Every living thing in this jungle is trying to murder the other. Mother Nature's way of testing her creations, refining the pecking order.
Oh, this guy. Try not to count the minutes until it gets mauled by some dinosaur, because you know it's going to happen and it's going to be satisfying as hell. Meanwhile, someone was trying to wrangle a pig that got loose in the Raptors area, and all hell breaks loose. Guards are about to shoot the Raptors, but Owen jumps in. I laughed at this scene in the trailer, but in context, it actually works.
Stand down.
Hey, hey!
He doesn't control the Raptors, but he does have some kind of rapport with them, as shown earlier.
Stay right there.
Sure you don't want to have a dance-off with them?
Ooh, child, things will get brighter. Then bring it down hard. Someday!
I love Chris Pratt. Anyway, the guy who fell in is safe now, and Owen's got the Raptors' attention, so he has them close the gate. And Geordie LaForge rolls out of there just in time. Yeah, there's a limit to how trainable the Raptors are. Owen may have a rapport with them, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they wouldn't eat him if given the chance.
You're the new guy, right?
Yeah.
You ever wonder why there was a job opening?
I can't decide if he's just messing with that guy or not.
Don't ever turn your back to the cage.
First of all, how cool is it that they've got baby dinos for the kids to play with? Secondly, I'm guessing this was inspired by a scene that was cut from Jurassic Park where Lex was going to show up riding a baby Triceratops at one point. They did get as far as at least starting to make the animatronic for that. By the way, the kid hugging the baby Apatosaurus is the son of the actress who plays Claire. Meanwhile, Zack and Gray ditch Zara and end up in the T-Rex kingdom. Notice the use of the flare. That's because this is Rexy, the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, and she apparently associates flares with food. We have Dr. Malcolm to thank for that. Anyway, Mom calls, finds out that Claire isn't there with them. Then Claire gets a call from her.
Hi, Claire. They're in great hands. They're with my assistant. She's British, so...
Mom's really upset because she really wanted her kids to spend time with Claire, and, well, we've seen how busy Claire is. But she promises to spend all of tomorrow with them.
I promise tomorrow is worth a lot less than trying today.
Ugh, you're using Mom's lines now?
You'll see when you have kids.
Yeah, if.
When?
Boy, there's a song I don't miss hearing on loop.
Bye, Mom.
So, on Masrani's request, Claire talks to Owen about looking over the Indominus Rex enclosure.
We have an attraction.
That's not what you said the last time I saw you.
I'm talking about the dinosaurs.
Turns out they have a bit of history.
Prints out an itinerary for a night out.
I'm an organized person.
What kind of a diet doesn't allow tequila?
All of them, actually.
She's right, they don't. Anyway, he calls her out on the fact that the dinos are living animals, and she talks about them like they're assets.
You might have made them in a test tube, but they don't know that. They're thinking, I gotta eat, I gotta hunt, I gotta... You can relate to at least one of those things, right?
Chris Pratt is too damn cute. Meanwhile, ever hear of Mosasaurus? After this movie, you're not going to be able to forget it, much as you may want to when you're trying to sleep at night. Holy crap. Also, Zack is into it now. If there was ever a teenage boy stereotype, this kid is it. Back to Claire and Owen, they arrive at the Indominus Rex enclosure.
So what's this thing made of?
The base genome is a T-Rex, the rest is classified.
Owen points out that keeping an animal in isolation is a bad idea.
Animals raised in isolation aren't always the most functional.
Your raptors are born in captivity.
They learn social skills, and I imprint on them when they're born. The only positive relationship this animal has is with that crane.
Kind of interesting that he mentions that Indominus might consider the crane to be a caretaker of sorts. Also, she's not showing up, and there are claw marks on the wall.
You think it...
So Claire makes her way back to the control room. The Indominus has a tracking device embedded in her back, so they should be able to track her. Meanwhile, Owen and two others go to check out those claw marks.
Medic 11, this is Control. You need to evacuate the container.
But it turns out that she's still in there. So apparently she lured the three of them in there. And then there were two. The other guy gets away, and Owen would have made another narrow escape if Indominus hadn't busted through the door. He's smart enough to find a good hiding place quickly, though. Can't say the same for the other guy. Come on, dude, you could have fit under that truck. It might have been a bit of a squeeze, but you'd be in better shape than you are now. Or maybe he was screwed anyway. That's kind of sad how he just gives up. Like, as hopeless as it was for Gennaro, he at least clearly didn't want to die. Where this one was like, fuck my life. Meanwhile, Owen realizes that masking his scent is a good idea. Just make sure that no one lights a match around you for a while. Also, it's interesting that Owen is hiding under the crane. Maybe he thought that Indominus wouldn't attack it. It's a close one, but it works. Damn, though. Back to Claire, she gets back to the control room a little late. Awkward. Apparently the tracking device doubles as something like a shock collar if Indominus gets too close to a fence.
That paddock is 4 miles from the closest attraction. They say you can handle this. No one else is gonna get eaten.
Meanwhile...
How fast can they run?
40, 50 when they're hungry.
God, Hoskins is like that door-to-door salesman who you just can't quite get rid of.
What do you think? Want to take one home?
Hey, don't joke.
He tells a story of how he used to have a pet wolf.
My wife, she came at me with a steak knife. Took a chunk out of her arm.
Big surprise, your wife didn't like you very much.
You put him down?
I don't know. We had a unshakable bond, you know?
Yeah, he doesn't mention what became of his wife. I'll bet he let the wolf eat her.
Can I,
Delta doesn't like him much either. So Barry gets a call about Indominus, and Hoskins is already thinking about how he can take advantage of this situation.
Hey, yeah, it's me. We might have an opportunity here.
Meanwhile, yes, I remember the scene in Jurassic Park with the herd of Gallimimus movie. Anyway, Zach is being a teenage boy again, but Gray is upset about their parents' divorce. I'm guessing the parents didn't want them to find out until after the trip, so it wouldn't be ruined, but they didn't do a very good job of keeping it from them.
Okay, I'm gonna be gone in 2 years anyway. I mean, all my friends' parents are divorced, and...
But hey, it doesn't personally affect Zach, so who cares?
Alright, there's a point you have to grow up.
Pot meat kettle. Here's another scene that was probably inspired by a scene that didn't quite make it into Jurassic Park, though that involved Dr. Grant and the kids escaping from the T-Rex. Back at the control room, Owen arrives and he's not happy.
She marked up that wall as a distraction. She wanted us to think she escaped.
Owen gets it. Masrani sends a specialized unit equipped with non-lethal weaponry. They can't just kill it was too expensive. Owen realizes that this is a death sentence and tries to get them to call it off, but of course they don't. And it turns out that she had ripped out the tracking device. Also, the blood on it is fresh, so it was done recently. So she might be very close by. Take your time looking up, it's just blood coming down from the sky. Totally normal, just ask this kid.
It's warm.
Oof, on top of everything else, she's really good at camouflaging herself. And has hands that are big enough to pick up a person. Well, so much for the commander. And then she proceeds to pick the rest of them off, one by one. Those are pretty decent weapons for being non-lethal, but not good enough. Again, Owen talks about the dangers of having a hybrid.
Raised it in captivity. She is seeing all of this for the first time. She does not even know what she is.
That's actually a little similar to something Ellie said in the first movie.
But these are aggressive living things that have no idea what century they're in, and they'll defend themselves violently if necessary.
You think the animal is contemplating its own existence?
She is learning where she fits in the food chain, and I'm not sure you want her to figure that out.
Even if she's more concerned about business matters, Claire makes a good point about there being families in the park, and she doesn't want to cause a panic.
If you're not gonna help, there's no reason for you to be in here.
Come on, dude, not as toy dinos.
I would have a word with your people in the lab. That thing out there, that's no dinosaur.
After Owen leaves, Claire decides to close everything north of the resort. I guess that's a step in the right direction. Meanwhile...
What do you think's gonna happen from you just staring at them?
Good one, Gray.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Anyway, they get in a gyrosphere just before the ride gets canceled. Too little too late there, Claire. While that's happening, Masrani actually takes Owen's suggestion and goes to talk to Dr. Wu about what they've been up to.
Modified animals are known to be unpredictable.
It turns out that the camouflaging ability was a side effect of cuttlefish DNA.
Cuttlefish genes were added to help her withstand an accelerated growth rate.
She can also hide her body heat due to frog DNA.
Tree frogs can modulate their infrared output.
Who authorized you to do that?
You did. Bigger, scarier, cooler, I believe is the word that you used in your memo.
B.D. Wong is so great in this. Anyway, Masrani tries to shut the whole thing down.
You are acting like we are engaged in some kind of mad science. We have always filled gaps in the genome with the DNA of other animals. And if their genetic code was pure, many of them would look quite different.
I actually like that line because it kind of covers the fact that Jurassic Park isn't as accurate with its depiction of dinosaurs as it was when it came out. So now there's an in-story explanation for that. According to Dr. Wu, it wasn't about making the dinosaurs perfectly accurate to how they originally were, because it's impossible, so they were modeled after the public's perception of dinosaurs to an extent.
I never asked for a monster!
Monster is a relative term. To a canary, a cat is a monster. We're just used to being the cat.
I love that line. Back to the gyrosphere.
Hey there, I'm Jimmy Fallon. Welcome aboard the gyrosphere.
It's pretty impressive that Dr. Wu managed to make a Jimmy Fallon clone that doesn't corpse. Anyway, thanks to the gyrosphere, they get to see some giant herbivores up close, and it's a pretty cool moment. Anyway, they find out that the part of the park they're in is closed, and of course Zach ignores it and does what he wants. It's only a park with live dinosaurs in it, not like part of it being closed should be a huge red flag. You just keep being a little rebel. That'll go great for you. That said, this is a really cool shot of the dinosaurs. Meanwhile, Claire is looking at the security cameras and isn't seeing her nephews anywhere. So she calls Zara, and poor Zara has been looking all over the place for them because they ditched her hours ago. So she calls Zach directly.
Yeah, I can't really hear you. We're in the hamster ball.
But of course there's bad reception and he can't hear her too well. So she calls security to gather up the gyrospheres, but they've got their hands full.
Just do it, man.
But Owen is around, resulting in this cute little exchange.
I need you.
Okay.
My nephews, they're out in the valley.
How old?
The older one, he's high school age. The younger one, he's a few years.
You don't know how old your nephews are?
Priorities, dude.
We're gonna get arrested, they'll shave our heads, and we're gonna have to make root beer in the toilet.
What are you talking about?
Okay, that was funny. Anyway, they've gone into a restricted area with ankylosaurs. And that's not all. And she's like, ooh, a soccer ball. So now it's more like a giant pinball. Oh, it's not gonna end well for this ankylosaurus, is it? She's so cute, though. Oh, well, she put up a good fight. Nice effect with the third eyelid. And now it's a puzzle for her to solve. Didn't know gyrospheres were supposed to be fun for the dinosaurs, too. Oof. I think she's just able to open her mouth really wide, but it looks like she's unhinged her jaw like a snake. Holy crap! They get away, but just barely. Actually, kind of reminds me of Dr. Grant and Lex getting away from the T-Rex. She's about as annoyed about it as the T-Rex, too.
You jumped.
It's nice to see Zach having a non-asshole moment. Meanwhile, Claire and Owen are trying to catch up to them, and they've made it to the area with the big herbivores, where they come across a dying apatosaurus, and it's heartbreaking. God, it even has blue eyes. Even Claire seems to have an epiphany at this point. But unfortunately, there are a lot more of them. You know, this movie's mainly mindless entertainment, doesn't have the same kind of emotional punch that Jurassic Park did for me in general. But this scene is surprisingly powerful and did make me cry.
It didn't eat him. It's killing for sport.
But anyway, they do eventually find the gyrosphere. It's not in the best shape. Now poor Claire is really having an epiphany. But Owen figures out where they went.
Zach! Wait!
Hey, at least she isn't using a megaphone.
What's a bad idea?
Owen tells her to go back to safety while he finds the kids, but Claire isn't having any of that.
What is that supposed to mean?
It means I'm ready to go.
Obviously.
Just like taking a stroll through the woods 65 million years ago.
Gotta admire her spirit. Okay, we've just about reached the halfway point, so I'm ending part 1 here. I've been having some fun at this movie's expense, but I do recommend it, so if you haven't seen Jurassic World yet, make sure to watch it before watching part 2.